Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to replace the motor on your worn winch. Now this one is an HS9500 I. It's kind of hard to see the label right there, but a lot of times you get them and labels off, a lot of corrosion and everything, but these winches are really good. Normally whenever something goes wrong with them, you can just replace the part instead of having to buy a new winch. Now this one here is sparking a lot out of the bottom of the motor, so that half the time whenever you were using the remote, it would spark really big. Usually if it's sparking really big out of here and it's moving and then it's not, and then all of a sudden it just quits going back and forth in both directions, then it's usually the motor. If it was a solenoid, then normally it would either go forward and not backwards, or it would go backwards and not forward. In this case, it is the actual motor that's bad. So once you get up on your bench and you're ready to work on it, first thing you want to do is take off the electrical lines. This one took a 13mm wrench to take off all of them, and then go ahead and mark them. I like to mark them just to make sure that I don't put them in the wrong place. A 1 and 2 for field 1 and 2 on there. Now once you get it off, then you'll go ahead and take the mounting bolts off. Now this one happened to be a 5/32 hex socket, so what?
I see a squirrel in there.
Oh yeah, you see a squirrel? Yeah. Okay, so once you get all those sockets off all the way around, or those the bolts all the way around, then you can go ahead and remove the unit off, and don't forget about your ground that's mounted underneath here.
That's a squirrel.
A squirrel? Where is it?
It went way over there, so we can see right there.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. So we're back from the squirrel hunt. As I was saying before, take all your bolts off. Once you get those off and you get the electrical connections off, then you should be able to lift the motor off. Now if it's stuck from corrosion, then you may have to tap it just slightly with a rubber mallet or something, so that you can get it knocked off, because the water over the years usually corrodes it up and makes it stuck on there sometimes. But once you get that off, and slide it off and set this on the ground right here. Now the original winch motor, this one right here for the 9500i, is a 38951. Now whenever I called Warren just to verify it, they sent me this one, which is a 64635. Now after I got the part number from Warren, I called up Summit Racing, and I got this overnight from Summit, and it was the best price I could find anywhere. Okay, so the next thing that I had to do for this one was I took out the 5/16 bolts, for the long bolts on the back. So once you slide that off, set that off right there, or you can just take the bolts out. You don't have to take the cover completely off, because then it exposes all this. But then you might hit the plate off. Once you knock that off, then you can see where all the corrosion is on here. So go ahead and take a wire brush or something to clean all this corrosion off, so that because you're gonna have to reuse this. This is where the gear stuff is, and then while you have it off, go ahead and put some grease in there, some new grease, get it all lubed up really nicely. Are you looking at the camera?
Up.
So once you have all the corrosion off from this, and you put some fresh grease in there, then go ahead and take your new motor and unbolt the bolts that is holding this plastic piece down in here to keep this shaft from getting damaged. And then you'll put this plate back up to it.
I see.
And whenever you put the plate back up there, you'll need to line up the pin that's on the housing. Okay, so you can see I just got this loose, so I'm taking it off. So once you get this little bracket off, go ahead, and the new motor should have came with a gasket. Go ahead and place that gasket down on there to keep water from getting in there. And then put your cover plate back on there and make sure that you see where your alignment pins and where your screws are going to go, where you can align it properly. And once you get it on here, it should go on pretty easily. You just wiggle it just slightly until you feel it kind of drop in. And once it drops in, then you know that the alignment pin is lined up with it also. So once you get it lined up, then go ahead and start tightening up your bolts back in there. Now if you see anything binding or anything anywhere, or it don't look like it's setting flush, then don't crank down on these. You don't want to damage anything. So once you get both your bolts tight, then you're pretty much ready to reattach the motor to the winch housing. Now whenever you're placing the motor back under your housing, try to get all the corrosion off that you can. If there's any dirt or anything on there, clean it all off before you set it up there. Okay, so once you're ready to reinstall the motor to the housing, and what I'll normally do is I'll get it up here and it's splined. I'll get it up there close to where it was originally. Spin it just a little bit until you get the spline in there. It's pretty forgiving, so once you get it in there close to it, you just slide that up there and use one bolt just to put it in and hold it in until you're able to get rid of the rest of the bolts in there. And don't crank down on this one bolt, just slide it in there just like that, and it'll pretty much hold itself in there. So now you basically want to hand tighten and get all the rest of the screws in there. Just like I said, just screw them in, hand tighten them. Once they're all in, once you get everything snug down or finger tight, then go ahead and go crisscross pattern to tighten up the bolts. So once you get all the bolts snug, then go ahead and tighten them up to the factory specs for whichever your winch calls for. After that, then you'll go ahead and start reconnecting your electrical and tightening up those connections. Also, make sure that your wire ends, your connections are all clean before you put it on there. And once everything's tight, I like to put either a little bit of silicone or some dielectric grease on there, just to try to keep the water out of there, keep the corrosion from building up. So once you get all the electrical hooked back up, you're pretty much done with installation of your new motor on your winch. So then you just got to bolt it back up to the plate, get it back on whatever you had it mounted to. Other than that, thanks for watching my video today, everyone. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button for me, like it, share it, leave your comments below. Stay tuned for the next video, and thanks for watching again.